Yo, what's going on? My name is Mike, and I am the Sports Dope. You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at that Sports Dope. If you go on iTunes and you search the Sports Dope, that's me too. You can go to mindsofmike.com/slash the Sports Dope, and you'll be able to find links for all sorts of social media bullshit. If you're listening to it on iTunes, I don't have a unique URL for YouTube yet. You can help me out with that by following over there and subscribing. Um, and you'll be able to find that YouTube link on that website I told you about. So today we're going to be talking a little bit of week 3 recap, and we're also going to be doing some week 4 picks. So very exciting, fun times. Strap in. Last week we did pretty well again. It was 6-3. Could also be 7-3, 6-4, depending on when you got a certain number. But it was again a pretty decent week. Now on the podcast or YouTube show, whatever the fuck you want to call it, it you didn't catch the Thursday games. I didn't record it till Saturday, but on the Twitter feed and the Instagram feed, it was out there. At Thursday we cleaned up. That's where we went into the positive for the week, and we stayed there. We were pretty evenish on Sunday, again, depending on a certain number that you got. But so last week, Thursday, game was Jacksonville. They were hosting the Titans. On Twitter, I threw out Jaguars, I threw out the under, and I also threw out go for the alt under minus or under 28.5. It was plus 379, and so started the week off with a fucking bang. Right, it was great. So from there, we went. So there were a couple bad beats in the week. I felt like super rough beats. Not super rough. Pretty rough. Some of them were pretty rough. So three of the losses. And what did I say? How many losses did we have? Three. 3 losses. 3 of the losses were fucking tough, right? The first one was the Broncos. I had the Broncos 8.5. I said I still liked it at 7.5, and they had a rough time hanging on to the ball when they were in, their own territory, and they turned it over at the end of the half. They turned it over at the beginning of the half. That was 14 free points. I said I liked the under. I got it at 43.5. When I finally talked about it, it was 41.5. I didn't really advise on that one. But 43.5 cashed barely, so that was a win. And again, depending on the number right there. But the Broncos, they lost by 14 and they gave away 14 points. That game should have been a lot closer than it was. But guess what? That's what happens when you got Joe Flacco at quarterback. He fucking drops the ball, and then Noah Fant, he just gave it up. He caught the ball, turned around to run, and then Green Bay just stole it from him. Welcome to the NFL, you fucking bitch. Cost fucking that 8.5 right there. Let's see. Next one, Indy. A lot of people were on the Falcons last week. Road Falcons are different fucking Falcons, right? We know this. It's a different team. Indy looked good also. They let him back in the game late, but I grabbed it at 2.5, and when I was talking about it, it was down to 1.5. So if you grabbed it there, you won also. So yay, congratulations. Let's see. Next one we were talking about last week. Philly. Another rough beat, right? Dallas Goedert. You can't hang on to a pass in the end zone. Jesus Christ, dude. It's your one job. There's nobody there. Nobody there. Right off your hands. Nelson Aguilar can't keep the drive going. And it took a Detroit return touchdown. So some more free points. Not saying that shit doesn't count. It does, obviously. We fucking lost because of it. But it's not a normal score, right? The only thing you could talk about, whatever I thought that when I talked about getting in at 4.5, after it came down from 7.5, I thought that was a good number, and if they would have been able to catch the ball, but I guess we should have taken that into account more. Whatever, I thought they would have beaten Matt Stafford. Anyway, next up, So this was another one I talked about a little bit on the podcast. So the Steelers, they were my dog of the week. That game was ugly as shit. Mason Rudolph did not look good. I don't think he was a fraud just yet because he did look good when he came in for Big Ben at the end of that game. But I think maybe he just thought about it all week. Thought about it on like, how long is the flight to San Francisco? 6 hours from Pittsburgh. Thought about it all there. Yeah, I think it got into his head a little bit. I think he's going to do a little bit better this week at home. We'll talk about that later. But the Steelers, as a money line dog, did not cash. If you would have bet them with points, you would have won. Another thing I said was, like I said, I thought the Steelers' offense was going to be a little bit better, especially getting all those turnovers. But they just couldn't do shit with it. I got the over at 43.5. When I talked about it, it was 44, and that's where it landed. So that's another iffy number right there. Last up, another one. I was kind of drunk on Sunday too. I had a couple of beers all day, hanging out with some friends, talking pretty much gambling 90% of the time because degenerates can smell their own. But I tweeted out about the under in the night game, and that cashed as well. So that was pretty solid. And lastly, for the worst beat of the weekend that I was the most happy to take, it was the teaser, right? Like, so we smashed Kansas City, didn't smash it, but they didn't cover the regular spread, but they covered the teaser, right? I thought that was a little tough spot for them, and I thought it was going to be close, even though it didn't look like it was going to be close. And I still have a lot of questions about Baltimore, but we'll talk about that another time. They won the tease. Minnesota won that tease easily. They covered also, beating up on Oakland. And the other one we had in the tease was Tampa Bay. Gross. Absolutely gross. Like, I can't even understand. I hope that guy is not on the team anymore. He shouldn't be. I'm not sure if he is or not. I probably should be, but I'm not. Yeah, we're going to talk about them some more later, too. So, basically, you know what happened. The Giants, Danny Dimes, you know what? I was thrilled as a Giants fan. Like I said, I was the happiest about this loss. It was fucking great. I was excited when it happened. Fuck that teaser because, we lost it because of it. Because of that fucking field goal. Like, I would have been okay even as a Giants fan because the defense is such trash. You can't blame Danny Dimes for, letting the Buccaneers get down the field with like 40 fucking seconds left and no timeouts or whatever the situation was, right? Like, you can't blame Danny Dimes for that. You can't be worried about the future for that. The defense, it's terrible, all right? You let it happen, it's all right. I'm still happy about that if he kicks the field goal and I cover the teaser. But he doesn't even kick the field goal. Fuck that guy. So, anyway, that was a bad beat, too. Roughest beat of the week. Some of the other games we talked about but didn't bet on. Dallas, I said I like them. That would have won, but too big of a spread for me. I like the Bills, that one, but I wasn't betting it, and that was a good move because it lost. Next up, we got New England. I picked them, but a defensive touchdown because Bill Belichick let Tom Brady come out of the game for 1 second, and we know when that happens, the entire house collapses in New England. And also a muff punt for a touchdown, so yeah. Rough beat if you bet on the Pats, but I'm never laying like 20 to 24 points. Like, it's just never something I'm going to do. I don't trust that shit at all. Arizona, I said they got smoked by Carolina in their house by the brand new quarterback. We liked Houston out in Los Angeles Chargers. And so that one would have won also. We liked Seattle and lost that one. The Saints didn't even look that great. It was just Seattle looked terrible. They looked like over their fucking heads for some reason. I have no idea. Maybe they thought Teddy Bridgewater was just going to, throw balls into the dirt and they wouldn't have to play a real team. I don't know what they thought, but the rest of the Saints showed up when Drew Brees didn't. So, I don't fucking know. I picked the Redskins in the Monday night game, and that did not work out at all. I didn't bet at all on the Monday night game. That was too trash, and I feel like I had hit too many unders. So I was just like, I'm not doing that, and I'm not betting the over either. And so I saved myself because the under did not hit. So there we go. Okay, so we're done with the brief recap over there. So let's go to this week. So as we typically do, I'm going to start off with games that I'm not wagering on. And then we'll touch on the locks and leans. I have a sucker bet this week. I have a dog. So, all right, first game on the slate is a good one, actually. Tomorrow night, Philly is going to Green Bay. It's actually a worthwhile game. I hope Green Bay stomps their throats. I don't want to hear the city of Philadelphia talk about a Super Bowl or think that they're going to have a parade again. Carson Wentz looks very average. If Danny Dimes keeps doing what he's doing and Carson Wentz keeps going in the path that he's going, I'm going to be a happy man for a decade, okay? I as long as they're better than the Eagles at some point in the next 3 years, I will be thrilled. I will completely just, I don't know, I'll not think Gettleman is a complete fucking schmuck like I do. Anyway, Green Bay, I guessed the line. I thought it was going to be -6 because of how bad the Eagles have looked, right? It opened at 2.5. I think it stayed there for about 0.4 seconds, and then everybody in Vegas was in there already buying all these tickets. Now it's sitting at 5. I'm not a huge fan of 5. I think the Eagles are going to be pretty hungry. I think that they are still going to be banged up, but at least they'll have Alshon Jeffrey back. They'll have a real threat aside from Ertz, who can catch the ball, unlike Aguilar. If you remember that fucking video that went viral this week about the guy catching babies out of a fire. Yeah, so I think they're going to be a little bit better on offense. Now, Green Bay's defense is fucking mint, right? They've looked phenomenal. So the MO for the Green Bay Packers, aside from the Bears game, because nobody scored in that game at all, you get like 3 touchdowns in the first 20 minutes. Let your defense do the rest. That's it. Just easy. Make everybody have to pass right off the bat, and your pass D is phenomenal. Again, they let teams back in, so this -5 I'm not a fan of. And the under looked great when it opened at 47 or 48, and it's fell to like 45 and a half, 46. So I still kind of like it there because I think Philly, even with Jeffrey back, might have a tough time to get to 20. I'm thinking this could be like a 24-20 type of deal with Green Bay. So, you know what? I wasn't going to bet on this game, but to keep Thursday night interesting, I'm going to do a 2-team teaser. I'm going to do Green Bay +1, +1.5, depending on where it is when I go look at it. And I'll do under like 56 or 52 rather. Whatever it is, 45, 46 right now, under 52. All right, putting that one in the books. All right. Yeah, we'll just come up with some of this shit on the fly. Some of it sounds good. All right, so next game, something I'm not really super interested in. The Chargers are going down to Miami. I thought it was going to open at 14. It opened at 16.5. It's staying at 16. It looks like it's hanging out there. You know, if somebody told me on Monday, if I was in a complete bubble on Sunday, and somebody told me, hey, you know what's fucking weird? The Chargers, they lost to Miami. I wouldn't find that too odd. Like, I wouldn't. Like, they haven't looked good. They still don't know how to, like, kick field goals. The half of their phenomenal defensive line is constantly hurt. Melvin Gordon says he's coming back, I think, but he's still not going to play this week. They already said that. You know, it just hasn't looked super great there. So if somebody told, I'm not taking the points, I'm not doing anything, I'm not going to talk myself into it like I did with the other one just now. But not a fan, but I'm taking Miami as my, if I had to take it, pick. So next up, Redskins. Yeah, they're coming to see Danny Dimes. They're coming to the Meadowlands. See Danny Dimes coming to his home because he did it in Tampa last week. Coming to his home to show his people the Dimes that we all want to see in the future. But let's be real for a second. A thing we didn't touch on before. Barkley, his ankle, sideways, busted, out. He's going to be out like 8 weeks, right? They said 4 to 8 weeks. It's going to be 8 weeks, okay? So I just think that while we all love Danny Dimes, we do, everybody's so up from last week. And usually in the NFL, unless you're a super quality team, which the Giants are not, let's not kid ourselves, you don't go up higher when you're up. You go down again. And the Redskins are going to be hungry. They're going to triple cover Ingram. And Wayne Gallman is not going to do what Barkley can do. It's just not a thing that's going to happen. So I'm taking the Skins and the points if I had to bet this game, but I'm not because I don't want to take the Redskins. But I think that's good money. I'm not doing it though. Next up. So I'm still not sold on Baltimore, right? Cleveland's going to Baltimore. I guess the line was going to be 8 because everybody fucking loves Baltimore. It opened at 3.5. I still probably wouldn't have jumped on it just because the line that I guess is where I think it's going to be because that's where I think the market's going to set it at. I have a number I would bet on. It's not that. So 3.5, I still wouldn't bet on Baltimore for that. The Browns look like garbage. The line's currently 7. It's shot all the way up there. The Browns look like garbage. Manziel is just taking the snap and immediately running out of the pocket, and everybody's fucking chasing him. And his offensive linemen are like, dude, there's this fucking pocket over here. You should be hanging out in there throwing the ball, not running out every time. They had a pretty rough game against the Rams, and I don't really super believe in them. And I'm still skeptical about the Baltimore team. They're clearly the cream of the crop of the division. Like, that's not even a question. I just question they haven't played great the last 2 weeks. Like, I don't know if it was Kansas City letting up in the second half. And think about what we're saying right there. Kansas City possibly let up on defense, as in they were smashing somebody on defense, but they let up. Maybe they let up. I don't know. But the fact is, Baltimore didn't look great in the first half on offense. They didn't look too great against Arizona on offense in their home. So I don't know. Okay? I still want to see a little bit more out of this team before I'm laying 7 to anybody with them. Right? Especially a team that's got some playmakers despite their issues. And they got some playmakers on offense. They got some playmakers on defense. They're a little bit banged up. I think Denzel Ward might have an issue. But Myles Garrett could be in the backfield all day. And sure, Lamar Jackson could just run the other fucking way because he's Lamar Jackson. But Olivier Vernon's there. And he's not going to be the guy to get you sacks. But if Myles Garrett's running him into him, he'll get that sack. So I think that they've got a good contain. They got good people, the good personnel for containing Lamar. And leaving him in the pocket, some of those passes in the second half, they were fucking lollipops. Right? If it was a better defense, they might have gotten picked. But who knows? Next up, games I'm not betting on. Houston, they're hosting Carolina. I have no idea what to expect from Carolina. Did they beat the shit out of the Cardinals just because the Cardinals are bad, or because this new quarterback, because they have good personnel and Cam Newton was what was holding them back? So just anybody with a somewhat live arm, and the kid threw 4 touchdowns. That's a live as fuck arm. Anybody could take this team somewhere now. So I don't know. I don't know what to think of this kid. I think it's going to be a good game. I'm interested in watching it. Houston won last week. I really thought that was something they could pull off on the road because of, just having an explosive offense. And again, Chargers not something to, write home about just yet. Next up, game I'm not betting on, but I'm going to be interested to see what goes on. I'm going to be interested to look at the box score. I'm not going to be interested to watch it because I think it's going to be boring as shit because it's going to be 2 bad offenses, and that's Minnesota going to Chicago. When I looked at it, I thought it might be a pick just because Chicago had looked so bad, and I hadn't seen Monday Night Football yet. I did this on Monday during the day, so I just kind of guessed that they still wouldn't look great on offense. And I don't know if it was just playing the Redskins or what, but they looked a lot better. So I buy this more as a 3 now. It's actually down to 2.5. People are taking Minnesota. I understand that, but I'm not a fan because if the Bears stop Dalvin Cook, which I think they're going to commit to, and they have the people that can do it, then that means the game is in the hands of Kirk Cousins. And I don't trust that. I don't trust it. So I'm just staying away from this one. No, thank you. No, thank you. Next up, games I'm not betting on, and it's my squad, Jacksonville. I liked Denver last week. I think they got a bad beat. Jacksonville was fantastic last Thursday night. They just played very well. The defense was great. It's just all this stuff with Jalen Ramsey, man. It irks me, and it doesn't sit well with your teammates. Now, that's not going to affect the pass rush, who basically just destroyed Mariota last week. But I just don't like it when there's that element. And as much as I love Gardner Minshew and his fucking cut-off jean shorts when he was shotgunning beers and shit at that college game from all the pictures over the weekend, I just don't trust it. I can't do it. And like I said, the Broncos looked fairly competent. Phillip Lindsay was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. He's like 5'8", and he was like carrying dudes to the end zone with him. It was unreal watching him run. It was excellent to watch. All right, so we're going to talk about some stuff that I've got a small amount of money on, a little bit. I got a little half unit action. First up, I'm going to talk about the sucker bet and my dog of the week because they're in the same game, right? I like Indy. I do. I really do. I think they've been riding a hot streak, but I think that they're a little banged up, and I think Oakland has a decent enough pass offense where they could keep it close, and I think that plus 250, where it's at right now, is way too juicy of a number. Like, they could get blown out, so I'm not trying to put plus 7 on the board, right? And it's even like plus 6.5, so that's a little iffy. I don't want to risk that. But plus 250 for the money line, I think they're going to run the ball a lot. Gruden said he's committing to that run. So I think they're going to be able to run through a little bit because Leonard's still in the concussion protocol. It's still iffy he's going to play. Hooker in the tight end spot, or not the tight end, the safety slot, like deep. He's already out. Jabal Sheard, the pass rusher, one of the pass rushers, he's also banged up. I think Darren Waller, he could have a good game, just run those seam routes, with some banged up secondary guys back there. I think that Oakland could be live in this one. So I throw like a little half unit on it. Right? Who cares? Next up, I got one game leaning on the game and the under. You guys are going to kill me with this, especially since they just burned me. Like, just burned me. But I think Tampa getting 10 points at LA, I think that's a solid number. I think the total started way too high. It was 52, or I think it was 50. And now it's 49.5. There's a ton of money on the under. I'm jumping on the under now. And when I say there's a ton of money, right? I go to this website called the Action Network, and you can see how much money is bet, like percentage-wise, like tickets and total cash, right? Percentage-wise. So if there's 50-50 split on the game, right, for tickets sold, but the money's 75-25, that indicates that there's a lot of heavy action, maybe you could say, on one of those sides. So that's how this under looks right now, and I like it a lot because Tampa Bay's defense they had an off day the other day. Maybe you could say that they played Cam Newton and that made them look good. Um, and the Niners only got a couple of a couple of defensive touchdowns. That's why that score was so high. But I think that they have a decent enough defense, and the Rams haven't looked phenomenal. Like Gurley hasn't looked good. If you can stop the mid-range passing game for the Rams, which I think they might be able to do. They got a solid linebacker. They got a decent pass rush, and they've got a decent secondary. So they're like average, above average all around. So far in team defense for the season, they're in the top 10. So I like it to be a low-scoring game. And as we've said before, low-scoring game with one side getting a lot of points. I'll take those points. So 10 points is a lot. Like even if this game's like 27-20, like that's a win, right? And that's what I'm thinking this is going to be about. All right. Next up, there's two of my locks, right? Because I got 3 locks this week. 2 of my locks, heavy road chalk, and I hate it, but I can't not do it because it just like both of them just absolutely make sense to me, right? And I'm talking about, and they're both the same case. So I'm going to talk about them both at the same time. It's very much the same situation. It's New England and it's Kansas City, right? They're both going on the road. They're both laying about a touchdown. New England's at 7, Kansas City's at 6. They're both playing teams that are undefeated, but those teams didn't beat anybody. They didn't beat anybody good. They're both super fraudulent, and I think it's overrating the home field advantage in Detroit and Buffalo alike because these teams are professional. Like these are the cream of the crop teams. Like they don't get rattled when they go on the road because they're used to that shit. They're like, oh, this is fucking nothing. It's a game in September. Who gives a shit? I'm just going to come out here and throw fucking 3 touchdown passes, says Pat Mahomes and Tom Brady. Doesn't matter that they have, like, for Kansas City, Darius Slay is out. I don't understand why this number still hasn't hit 7 yet. I understand they're banged up, but still, they are going to smoke them in their own building. I just read today that it's the first time Pat Mahomes is playing on turf. That shit is going to go, like, a half a fucking mile an hour faster than it already does on the giant grass in Kansas City out there. So I love them to just put up a ton of points. I'm going to do the DraftKings thing later in the week, but I think that the Lions are going to put up points too because they're going to know how to exploit the defense. They've got a decent passing game and they've got a good passing game and a decent running game, and I think that they'll be able to put up points, but they're just not going to be able to keep up with Mahomes. If the spread is under 10, like you just have to take them. I feel it's unbelievable, especially if it's against like a non-playoff team. And as much as I do like the Lions, I've liked them for a lot of years and they've never panned out. And I understand this is a different type of Lions team, but they need to do a little bit more than tie against Arizona, beat San Diego when San Diego didn't bring a field goal kicker with them, and beat the Eagles with a return touchdown, Eagles having no cornerbacks, and dropping passes in the end zone at the end of the game. So you got to do a little bit more for me before I believe in you, Lions. If you even keep it close, if this game goes down to the last like play or minute or whatever, I'll believe in you a little bit more. Like I'll be halfway there. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. New England, same thing. I mean, they're the fucking Patriots. Yeah, they're banged up. Edelman's chest caved in the other week or whatever happened to him. I hope he'll be back. But even if he's not, who gives a fuck, right? It's Tom. The Bills beat the Jets, and they only beat the Jets because C.J. Mosley got hurt. And they were like, oh, shit, we can fucking, do our stupid plays over the middle now. And he's not going to be in the way and doing amazing football things that he does. So that's the only way they came back there. Then they stayed at a hotel and they stayed the fucking week in the Meadowlands, and just stayed there and beat the shit out of Eli's Giants. They ended his fight, but who gives a shit, right? Who cares about that? The Giants were terrible then. They're still not good now. Don't believe the fucking hype. I don't buy it. And then they went home and beat Cincinnati and barely did so. I thought that this spread was going to be like 14, right? Just because the Patriots are that good. Like, they still haven't given up a defensive touchdown. I wouldn't be shocked if they beat out fucking Josh Allen and didn't let him in. You know, what are they? Do you think Bill Belichick is going to let Frank Gore fucking beat him? It's the same age. Like, that's not a thing that's going to happen. I can't see that happening. You know? So, give me the Patriots. I'll take the 7. I'll lay the 7. I rarely bet on the Patriots because the spreads are usually so high. But I think that people are way overrating Buffalo. Like, it's a lot of people that are just, like, still believe in old school football. And they're like, oh, the cold in Buffalo. It's still September, by the way. Oh, it's frozen up there, and, you know, we're going to play hard defense and fucking blah, 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 right? Doesn't matter. So, hold on, I'm going to check on something. Whew, got nervous there for a second. The laptop I'm recording on just kind of went dark, I guess because I'm not touching it enough. Anyway, so yeah, fuck Buffalo. Give me New England. Fuck the Lions until I see them a little bit more. I don't trust it. I don't trust either of these guys. Like I said, both of them, same situation. Just, you keep it close and I'll be impressed. I'll be halfway to almost believing in you if you just keep it close. But I don't think either of you will. So I'm betting against it. So my last lock, it's a fucking weird one, right? I'm going to Monday night and I'm going with the total, actually. Okay? And this is just, I think the Cincinnati offense is serviceable. I think it really is. I think Joe Mixon is due for a solid game. I think he started the season a little banged up. He had a decent game last week, and I think he's going to ramp it up from there. And I think this Pittsburgh defense, I don't give a shit that they're in their own house. I think they've already packed their bags almost, at least the fan base has. So I think Mixon will be able to run. I think Dalton has enough targets to where he can, like, Tyler Eifert's still there, and until he's out for the season with some back injury, he's a viable target. They got Tyler Boyd. He's good. I think that they will be able to put up some points. And I'm willing to chalk last week up as some rookie jitters, like I was saying before, to Mason Rudolph. And I think that they can put up points too. The total opened at 43.5, and it's still sitting there, but there's a lot of money on the over on this one too. And I believe in it. I do. So, last up, we're going to talk about the teaser here. Okay? So, there's 3 games I haven't talked about. Tennessee goes to Atlanta, Seattle goes to Arizona, and Dallas goes to New Orleans. I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but I'm taking Atlanta in the teaser. They showed a little something at the end of the game. Like we said, they're a different team at home than they are on the road. The Titans are garbage. Like, I get it. Derrick Henry might carry the entire Atlanta defense on his back, 80 yards, 4 touchdowns. But I still think that their offense should, in their own building, be able to put up a solid number of points, enough points to win the game. The number is for teasing it to 2. Give me Atlanta +2 as the first leg of the teaser. Next up, we're just taking Seattle. All right, Seattle -4.5. Tease that to 1.5. I don't like their number. I think, but this. Actually, I kind of do like their number still. I do like 4.5, but I worry about them a little bit. I worry about a little bit of a backdoor cover, but I think they win this game easily. Coming off a loss in their own building. Now, the Saints were fired up. Like, they were rallying. This was one of those rally games that we talk about and think about where, like the fucking Grinch that stole Christmas, like his heart grew 10 sizes that day. Like, all these guys, when somebody like Drew Brees gets hurt, like everybody just somehow has like an extra 10% they can get. Like they were playing playoff level football in week 4. Like they had that type of energy out there. They were getting turnovers and they were doing what everybody else, like Teddy didn't play particularly fantastic. He was just okay, but everybody else elevated their game so much that, and it also helped that Seattle didn't play all that great. So I think Pete Carroll, he's going to be like, I took a fucking football to the face and had to get stitches before this game. You guys are going to play hard this week now. That's what it is. Like, I'm all beat up here. I'm an old man. I got all these stitches. I could die from this wound. Infections are a real thing when you're like 75 years old. Even though he looks like he's like 50, he's got he's going to light a fire under their ass. They're going to go down there. It's going to be like in Fight Club when Brad Pitt beat the shit out of Jared Leto. They're going to stand up and Pete Carroll's just going to be like, I just wanted to destroy something beautiful. Like Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury. Fucking couple of frauds also. Set that franchise back 5 years with that. What a bunch of idiots. Lastly, on the teaser, I'm not going with Dallas. I'm taking New Orleans. I'm teasing them up to 9. I haven't entered this yet because I think it might go up to 3.5. So I want to get that extra half a point, be a little greedy there. I think New Orleans has it again in them to have that little extra energy game where they go out there and put on a show for the hometown. They did it in Seattle. I don't think there's any reason they can't do it in their own building for their own fans. And I think they've got another, high energy, high production game. And Dallas is another one of those teams that are a semi-fraudulent 3-0, right? Let's take a look at who they beat real quick. The Giants with Eli, not Danny Dimes. The Dolphins and the Redskins. 3 awful teams with, I think, 1 win among all of them, and that was Danny Dimes. So 0 wins for the actual squads that were out on the field. So, and they were kind of close in a lot of them. Like the Redskins game was close. The Miami game was close at the half. Giants were in it a little bit till like the third quarter. So, listen, not super impressed. Give me another high-energy game from New Orleans. Make them 9-point dogs. So the teaser is going to be Atlanta, Seattle, and New Orleans, right? We're going to be doing a +2, a +1.5, and a +9. Okay, so just a quick recap. Locks. We got Kansas City and New England. Let's make these bad undefeated teams show us that they're better than these 2 undefeated teams. Next, we got Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. Give me over 43.5. That'll keep Monday night a little bit interesting for us, right? Because obviously that game contains teams that nobody gives a shit about anymore. And then we got a couple leans on the Tampa Bay Rams game. We got under 49.5 and Tampa Bay +10. Sucker bet this week is going to be Indy. I think they're too banged up. TY, that really hurts. The defense is beat up. I think John Gruden, he wants another win before he goes to London next week. So give me Oakland +250 on the money line. And then the teaser, like we said, I gave out the bonus one with the Green Bay and the under in that game. So we went with, that's right, I totally forgot about that. Green Bay +1, and I'm going to have to put that in after this. So Green Bay +1, and then over, I think it's going to be about 51.5, or under 51.5, 52. And then the next teaser is Atlanta, Seattle, and New Orleans. Atlanta at +2, Seattle at +1.5, and we're going to go with New Orleans up to 9. Big home dogs there. All right. That has been the Week 3 recap, Week 4 picks. I'm Mike. I'm the Sports Dope. You can find me on Twitter at @ThatSportsDope and Instagram, the same address. If you go to mindsofmike.com/thesportsdope, you'll be able to find the iTunes feed if you're watching this on YouTube, or the YouTube link if you're listening to it on iTunes. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'm just a degenerate that loves talking about this shit, and I'm going to chew somebody's ear off about it, so I might as well let it be you. So, Let's get paid. Peace.